What's going on, everybody? This is Gen716 back here again, and today I want to talk to you guys about my top 5 hidden gems players for the Alabama Crimson Tide for the 2020 football season. I'm very, very excited for this. Been thinking about this for weeks now. But these are players that, again, just don't really get a lot of recognition, or maybe players that has played a role, a significant role, but just hasn't had that recognition, again, from whether if it's the Crimson Tide fan base or whether if it's for the other type of fan bases out there. It's a little bit different from my Breakout Players series, so hopefully you guys will enjoy this one. If you guys do, make sure to hit the like button, share the video, and also subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you guys can stay, intact when I post a video. So let's hop straight into this. So my number one player is going to be Ben Davis. Ben Davis is a player that a lot of Alabama fans know, I could say, so he does have the recognition. But he's been more of a special teams player. He's been really special teams. Obviously, last year he was a little bit of a rotational player, right? You would see him in the second half of games when Alabama would blow out the competition. So yeah, he was more of that bench player. Really wasn't even more of a rotational player, but he did see some snaps. This is something that we've never seen from Ben Davis over the last 3 to 4 years that he's been here. So he's going to be a fifth-year senior. Remember, this was the number one recruit for Alabama back in 2016, and ever since that 2016 class, there's a lot of guys that are gone and have become first-round picks and draft picks. This is a make and break for Ben Davis because I believe that this is his final year here. So Ben Davis is a guy that he's feeling confident about himself. He's a guy that believes he will take the job. Obviously, if you look at the outside linebacking position, there's really, besides some other players like Christopher Allen, he's to take the Sam linebacking position. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but there is King Makuta, who is a redshirt freshman. There's Drew Sanders, who's a true freshman. There's Chris Broswell, who's a true freshman. There's Quindarius Robinson, who's a true freshman. Right, and those guys are 5-star players. And I forgot about Kevin Harris, too, who's also a redshirt freshman. But so there's a lot of just redshirt freshmen or true freshmen that are just becoming on the way. Again, the good thing for Ben Davis is that, again, there's no experience right behind him. So, from a leadership standpoint, he's there as a fifth-year senior. He's been to around 3 national championships as far as going with the team. He's played as a special teams role player over the last 2 to 3 years. This is no excuse for Ben Davis not to win this job and to potentially be a starter. It's really up to him at this point because it's either him or someone else is going to take his job again. Those redshirt freshmen, they're hungry and they're ready to take his job. He has all the athletic ability in the world. Obviously, he has Matt Rhea and David Ballou there to work on him as far as trying to enhance his abilities. So yeah, Ben Davis, he has all the resources there in the world. Obviously, we're going through a difficult time with COVID. But if we do have a football season, I expect Ben Davis to be a hidden gem of this defense and to potentially rise up. And who knows, maybe he could be a star. Number 2 guy here is Ale Cajo. I'm probably saying that name wrong. But Cajo is definitely a hidden gem of this for the Alabama Crimson Tide. You want to talk about a guy that was a special teams monster? It was Cajo. Crimson Tide fans know him, but not a lot of college football fans know him. Again, this was a guy that had blocked punts. He had blocked kicks. The guy was a special teams machine. When it came to kickoff and punt and punts, as far as getting down the field and making those crucial tackles and setting up the Crimson Tide for excellent field position by the defense. Cajo was a beast, and he was also lined up as fullback, right? Sometimes when they were in their goal line stands, he would line up as fullback, and just as that extra blocker. Now he is the backup will linebacker. So I think the thing for Cajo is that, again, he's a former 5-star recruit, just like Ben Davis. All the athletic ability in the world. Matter of fact, from what I've heard from training camp over the last 2 years, he's been one of the most impressive guys there. And Cajo is a guy that right now is probably one of the most athletic guys there, as far as just looking down the depth chart. So Cajo is going to be, if he doesn't become a rotational player on the defense, he's going to be an excellent special teams player like he has been last year. So Cajo is a guy to definitely look out for on special teams, making that tremendous role there. And yeah, Bama fans, definitely watch out for him if you guys have not heard of Ale Cajo. Number 3 player I want to talk to you guys about here, that's talking about Jalen Armour Davis. Now, Jalen Armour Davis is a guy that was supposed to actually start in 2018. He was actually supposed to be a star, not Sheen Carter. And looking at Jalen Armour Davis, again, obviously he had an ACL injury that derailed, but he was a true freshman that was obviously he was an early enrollee, and he was making tremendous progress. I think the thing for Jalen Armour Davis is that I think last year he was still recuperating for the injury. Now, he was a redshirt freshman, and he was more of a special teams player, more of a rotational player sometimes, as a cornerback. Sometimes will play as a star, but didn't really see that much significant playing time. Again, was more of a second half type, more of a bench player, to put it nicely. But yeah, he was more of a special teams type of player. This year, he has a tremendous opportunity. You want to talk about a player that, as far as competition, obviously there's going to be competition there, but Patrick Surtain is the only guy at the cornerback position. And we don't know if he's going to be playing star. We don't know if he's going to be playing as an outside at one of the 2 outside cornerback positions. We don't know where Patrick Surtain is going to be playing at, because looking at the depth chart, even though it's talented, it is still just a little bit thin, and we don't know who's going to be playing opposite of Patrick Surtain if he does play outside, or those 2 positions, those 2 outside cornerback positions could be vacant because Patrick Surtain could move inside star. So this is a tremendous opportunity for Jalen Armour Davis, who is 6'1", close to 6'2", extremely long arms, athletic ability. The coaches rave about his athletic ability, just rave about his instincts. I think Jalen Armour Davis, besides Patrick Surtain, is the best one. I do like Josh Jobe, tremendously talented. Obviously, they brought in Ronald Williams, and if you bring in a JUCO player, everyone knows that if Nick Saban ever brings in a JUCO player, they're playing right away. So Ronald Williams, he could be the starter. But I like Jalen Armour Davis. I think that this is a player that a lot of Tide fans need to look out for. And if he does become a starter, whether if it's at the star position or they could move him to the outside, he could be a player that could definitely contribute a lot to the Crimson Tide team. So definitely watch out for Jalen Armour Davis as far as being a hidden gem of this Crimson Tide football team. Number 4 player I want to talk to you guys about is Xavier Williams. And I think he's going to be more of a slot receiver, even though it looks like he can fit more on the outside. But I like Javon Baker. I think Javon Baker is the guy that's going to get some playing time. Obviously, John Mechie had that explosive A-Day game where he had almost 150. I think he had over 150 yards in the A game. But it's not really guaranteed, right? We all know Jalen Waddle, his spot secure. Devontae Smith, his spot secure. Besides those 2, there's really not a secure place. It's really going to be a fight for who's going to be the number 3 guy or even the number 4 guy, because Alabama used around 4 or 5 guys last year in their offense. So definitely look out for a guy like Xavier Williams, a guy that is a really, really good route runner, a guy with excellent hands. I think for him, he was a little bit more raw. Again, this was a guy that was a 3-star for most of the 2018 recruiting class. But eventually got bumped up to 4-star status, was just a little bit more raw, but a guy with a lot of athletic ability, a lot of talent. I think Xavier Williams, he's one of the best players on the team when it comes to just catching the football, period. He has, get very, very strong hands, rarely drops it. So Xavier Williams, a guy that's 6 feet tall, has gained some weight, I think around close to 180 pounds, around 185, close to 190. I think Xavier Williams is a guy that Tide fans should definitely watch out for. Again, there is John Mechie, there is Javon Baker, there is Trayshawn Holden, right? Thurwood Jones-Bell, who's an explosive receiver himself, but Xavier Williams is a hidden gem. Again, his route running ability, his hands, I think that goes a long way. Sometimes that is actually valued more than just pure speed or strength. It's just raw route running ability. I think guys like Javon Baker and Xavier Williams are guys that could get more playing time over the more explosive or taller players like Thurwood Jones-Bell and Trayshawn Holden. So Xavier Williams, definitely a player I would definitely watch out for the future. And definitely my last player here is a guy that he's a starter on the as a tight end. Miller Forestall is a guy that's coming back once again. It feels like Miller Forestall has been here forever. But could Miller Forestall, I think he's a guy that, again, had that horrible injury back in 2018. Obviously, in 2019, I felt like he wasn't really that same guy, but a guy with a lot of athletic ability, a guy with that's a phenomenal run blocker. I mean, a really, really good run blocker, but very underrated as a receiver. I think one of the key things that Bama was missing was that Irv Smith presence. I think with Miller Forestall, is he Irv Smith? No, I don't think he's close to being Irv Smith, but Bama needs that receiving tight end. Last year they really didn't need it. It would have helped, but they didn't need it because they had 4 receivers that could play in the slot, that could play out wide. I mean, we all know. But this time around, there is Jalen Waddle, there's Devontae Smith, but you don't know who your slot receiver is. You don't know who's the back. You don't know who the backup is, just in case if Devontae or Jalen Waddle decides to go down. You could decide to just say, hey, we're gonna just ground and pound like we used to back in the day, under that Jim McElwain offense, or even with we've seen with Derrick Henry when Lane Kiffin was our offensive coordinator. But just a receiving tight end in general, just that extra threat that can be that mismatch for linebackers, I think would definitely go a long way. So Miller Forestall is the guy to definitely look out for. If he can stay healthy, I believe that Miller Forestall is going to have a big year for the Alabama Crimson Tide on the receiving end. I think he will do just enough to help this team get by and potentially make a national championship run. Again, I don't think he's going to have 800 yards like Irv Smith, but I definitely believe around maybe 300, maybe close to 400 yards. I definitely think that Miller Forestall is going to have a bigger impact in the receiving game than a lot of people expect. So definitely watch out for Miller Forestall. I think he's a sneaky hidden gem player that a lot of Bama fans should look out for. And don't be shocked if he has a big year for the Crimson Tide. So anyway, guys, those are my hidden gem players for the Alabama Crimson Tide. If you guys can name your hidden gems, who do you guys think are players that are under the radar for the Crimson Tide, and do you believe will have an impact? Just let me know in the comment section, and we can definitely hash it out here. So anyway, guys, Gen716, stay safe. Have a good night, because I am recording at nighttime, and so yeah, it's probably going to be day by the time this gets uploaded. But yeah, have a good day, and I'm out. Peace. Stay safe.